Okay, so we are going to try something, my friends. I was scrolling through the Etsy, as you do, and I came across this beautiful Edwardian skirt. It is McCalls 2704. It looks like it's 28-inch waist and a 46-inch hip. It's 42 inches long, and it takes and the hem is 4 3/8 of a yard around the bottom. Let's see. And it's got the center front panel with 4 buttons on either side going down, a back placket, and 4 buttons going along the back as well. Can't tell if there is pleating in this skirt or not, but I think given the way the hem flares out towards the bottom here, it probably does. So here's what we're going to do. This is a 5 gored skirt from 1909. And I want it. So I went to archive.org and I typed in, under their thing is 5 gored skirt under the search, and then I scrolled down and I clicked tailoring under topics, and that brought me basically all the women's tailoring books, and then I just changed the year to 1909, and then Mr. Glicksteins System, scale of proportions, blah blah blah, gave me, this skirt here. This skirt right here. A 5 gored skirt. So I need to measure this and figure out how wide that waist is to make sure I get one to measure out at 28 inches. And I need to also figure out how long that hem is, because it doesn't tell me, which means I probably need to read this book. But yeah, basically I'm going to try and draft this skirt using his method, his system, and that way I could just make the skirt I want. So in the back I would have to add pleating, probably down to like here-ish. So they would join here and then start to flare at that point. Yeah, so we're going to try this and see if it works out. Okay, I had a flash of remembrance, I suppose, that I need to check the waist measurements on this. So this is 5 panels, so this is precisely half of the skirt on this diagram here. So I went ahead and did the math and took out the darts, and this waist will measure in at 27 inches, which is perfect. I'm so excited. And then the hip, assuming that is the hip line, yeah, it's 7 inches down. That's approximately the high hip. So that will measure in at 43 inches, which is more than enough room. And then what I'll probably do is off on this side of the skirt, I will add in a pleat, probably here. So I will extend the pattern out by like however many pleats I want, and I'll do the same here in the front. So there'll be pleating here in the front, and then there'll be pleating here in the back. Okay, well that was super quick and easy to draft. Let me go ahead and take you through how I did that. I basically just followed the guides, or the numbers on the pattern diagram over there, because coincidentally it happens to be my waist measurement, so, or very close to it, to where I could, you know, fudge a bit with the darts to get it really where I prefer it, because this will measure in at 27 inches, and I typically like my skirts to be 26 inches, because it really cinches in the waist, basically. Anyway, so I started, this was my point A. All measurements started at this point, basically. And then according to the draft, you would measure in 2.5 inches from here, and then 1/2 inch outside of that to form the first dart. And then from 2.5 inches in, you would measure out 5 inches, and then you would measure out 1¼ inch from either side there to get the second dart. So this first darted area would form the first panel, and you just kind of measure in how long you want the skirt to be, and that's how long it would end up being. And then this second dart will help shape the second gored skirt panel. And then from this 5, you would measure another 6 inches out, and then 1 inch out from either end. The dart placement is where you can fudge the fit of the skirt, mostly, sort of. If you're within, you know, a few inches of a 27-inch waist measurement, then that's where you can start fudging it. to get it to fit your natural waist. Now keep in mind, the more you widen these darts, the more you're going to thin out the panels. So maybe if you're going to alter it like another inch out, then give yourself another inch. Go out from, go out from like the 2.5 inch mark if that's where you want to start. And instead of measuring to 5, measure to 6 or measure to 7. The idea is just to keep the proportions generally the same. And then from the 6, I measured out another 5 inches to get the end. And this gave me 1, 2, 3 panels. This last dart does not shape another skirt. As you can see, I thought it did, but then I stopped drafting that line because I realized this is panel number 5. And then about 7 inches down, so that would be approximately the waist measurement. The guide wanted me to measure basically 7 inches down from the slant of the waist. So it doesn't give you the slant of the waist, by the way. You kind of have to figure that out on your own, which is kind of annoying because I don't know if I did that right. But basically 7 inches down from the waistband is where you would put in the hip line, basically. And it wanted it to measure out to 21.5. Let me check, hold on. Yes, 21.5 inches along that line. I only measured out to 20.5 inches because I thought it made the flare a little bit too dramatic, especially since I'll be adding pleats into this. Okay, sorry, the skirt hem was looking a little bit squirrely, so I had to go in and change some things, but it is now resolved, so we've got a much nicer sweep on our hemline there. I don't know where I left off when I was explaining the drafting, but basically you get the picture. I'll have a link to the manual down below. So at least you could draw out the shape, and then I feel like once you get it on paper in front of you, it makes way more sense. So basically, get my little pointer right there-ish. This I drew in Sharpie, these bolder lines here, where I think the actual panels of the skirt will end up being. And let me just put this on the floor, because then I think you could see things a lot easier, right? With my ruler acting as a wonderful little paperweight. So these bolder lines that I know you can see on camera, because I can see them in this tiny monitor, are the Sharpie lines where the actual skirt panels will be cut when I get around to cutting it. But I wanted to show you before I cut it. So basically we have panel 1. We have panel 1 here, and then panel 2 here. And then this whole bit is panel 3. Somehow my tabletop always becomes a mess when I'm drafting, but you know what, that's just how it goes. It is now 3 in the morning, and I think I've got this skirt figured out the way I want to do it. So, I drafted it wrong. Well, I drafted it right, but it's wrong for the pattern that I would like to do. So, let me explain. This is the front panel, and it is perfectly fine. And I went ahead and just notated that this is from the Glicksteins System. It's a 1908 5-panel skirt. This is a center front with no seam allowance, and you cut the center front on the fold. I also marked the hip line, and this is the waist line up here. But then I notated here, I'm like, for McCalls 2704, i.e. that one, 5 gored skirt, we want to see all my little notes in blue, which means these little markings indicate the buttons and where they're going to go. And then this little memo here is that I want to add 2 inches coming off the hip line for pleat. So pleat will start here, basically. It'll fold down, so there'll be like nothing up here, but then it'll start to flare out a little bit here for 2 inches. And then, because I would like to make up 2 versions, first one being like a modern Edwardian, this is where I would actually put the hem on the shorter version. This is 9 inches up, so this would be at 31 inches down. So that's why I notated that. For the Manhattans, I should probably notate their hem. This is 31 inches. And I'll just put that on all of them so I know that'd be 31 inches down from the waist. So anyway, on the side panel, I didn't really make any changes. I just again notated that it's the side panel, this is the center front side, that's the center back side. But on the back, we will see some more notes. I drew a line coming down here, all the way down to the hem, And what that line is the line I would actually need to cut it on coming off this second dart to make this the skirt for the McCalls pattern. And again, this would be the back panel, and then this would be combined with our previous side panel. I would join those two back together and then cut the line here basically. So I would fold my pattern when I go to cut it out so that I don't change this one too much, or I would trace it off. But yeah, this will be the back unless I'm doing, this will be the back basically from here to here if I'm doing the McCalls, but if not, then it'd be the full width of the back, and that would be the back. So I just made a little note there, for McCalls, 2704, cut here, combine this side with the side panel. And I put panel, but we mean panel. And then again, I just notated where I want my buttons to be, and that here, coming off the hip, there would be 3 inches added for pleating on either side. So that would be 6 inches, I think, coming off that, and I'm not sure if that's excessive. That would be about 6 inches right to there to pleat down. So I don't know, that seems like a reasonable amount to add fullness to the skirt. If I think it's too much, I might take it down to 4 inches to pleat down on either side, but I don't think that would be very fun, so maybe not. And then I also had a zipper here in case I'm doing like a modern Edwardian, or a placket if I'm doing the actual Edwardian. And that's it, I think. So tomorrow I will cut a shorter version of this. And does that hem look funky to you? Looks a little bit funny to me. It looks fine when you like ignore this, but I don't know, it looks a little bit like a trumpet to me. Maybe I need to square that off. That looks a little bit unsquare. Anyway, yes, tomorrow I think I'm going to pick a fabric that I hopefully have enough yardage of, which I don't think I do, and make this up. Okay, I started on the skirt today, and I got the front panels seams together, and it is looking good. So I'm going to press those pleats into place and then attach the back panels. Okay, so I just finished pressing the front and side panels of the skirt, and I'm looking at the back panels now, which also need a little bit of pressing. And I'm thinking, before I seam them to the rest of the skirt, I should probably do the placket. So I'm going to watch a quick YouTube video on how to properly do a placket, because I'm pretty sure I did it wrong on the petticoat. Or maybe I did it right, I just did a bad job of it, I don't know. But I'm going to look up how to properly do a skirt placket. And for this skirt, the skirt placket is going to be in the back of the skirt, and hopefully it'll be disguised by the pleating in the back of the skirt. So, pardon me while I go and do that. Yeah. Also, I finished pressing the front of the skirt, and man, that took like 15 minutes, because pressing those pleats down on the tiny little sewing board, oh my God, ironing board that I have took forever. The thing is, excuse you, sir. Sorry if you hear any woofs in the background. My dog seems to have a issue, or rather he takes exception to the almighty Thor, and he barks every time there's thunder. So I do have room in this room for an ironing board. However, here's the tea. If I were to put a ironing board in this room, I would have to give up my little shelf of books and troopers, and obviously that is not something that I am willing to do. So yeah, we will stick with the tiny ironing board. If I might in a fit of fancy, I might go in and see if I could redo the way I have this room set up. I have a million shelves, mostly full of decorative items, not really useful things. And I do have another shelf in the other room, like the kind that you put on the wall, that I could bring in here. I could move the TV and mount that in the other room instead, and that would take a lot of work. But I don't play the PlayStation or even use the TV in this room, and it's really just taking up needless space. So I could move it. I haven't decided. We shall see, I suppose. But for now, onwards with the skirt, now that I'm done with my little tangent. Also, did I mention that I finished the hat and I'm super excited about it? Yes, I am. Also, the petticoat and the corset cover. Those are also done. So yes, okay, I'll quit stalling and I'll go work on the skirt placket, I guess. Thanks, bye. Okay, I was just pressing the wrinkles out of the skirt panels for the back, and I realized maybe it would be easier to press the pleats in while these pieces are still unattached, and boy was it easier. I think I've gotten a much nicer finish than I did on these sides, and this goes almost all the way down, so this will be seamed together. Well, it'll be seamed together basically from the pleat all the way down, and then right above the pleat this is going to be left open for a placket. And that is how these pieces are going together. This is where it hooks up to the side seams, and I've also marked with chalk, not that you can see, maybe you can, little X's to show where I'm going to be putting in the buttons, and I will thread mark those so I can see it from the front. The buttons will be the same fabric, just fabric covered buttons, and the waistband is there. Okay, I'm done stalling. I'll go watch that placket video. Okay, so the battery's flashing, so I'm gonna make this quick, but the placket is sewn in and I'm pinned up the side seams, so I'm gonna go sew in the side seams now, and I'm gonna put that on the charger. Alright, my dress form is currently considerably taller than I am at the moment, but I needed to raise it because the skirt is so long. Because what I need to do is I need to go in and level the hem, because front, as you can see, it comes down and almost covers the bottom of the gown. But then on the back, it's decidedly higher, and obviously that is the case when I wear it as well, which means I need to level it, and I think the easiest way to do that would actually be on the form itself. So I'm going to do that now. Wish me luck, because I would like this to sit maybe just an inch or so, maybe 2 inches above the floor when I wear it, so it could show off the Manhattans that I have. So I'm gonna go ahead and level this now. Again, wish me luck, because this is a scary thing to do. Alright, our skirt is almost done. I really just need to go in and hem it and then make a whole bunch of covered buttons. I think 8 and 8, 16 buttons in total. And I haven't yet decided if I'm going to be using a button kit or if I'm just going to be taking some oddball buttons that I have and covering them up with this. Probably the covered kits because this is fairly thin fabric and I think that'd be easier. But in any case, I do need to make the buttons as well. I do know one thing that I did wrong with this on the back and again on the center front. I really should have done a lapped seam because the McCalls pattern does have a lapped seam. That is something to learn for next time if I decide to make this skirt again. I think I would like to have it in black as well, so maybe if I come across a nice black tropical wool or a black twill, that would be nice to use, and I'll do a lapped seam then. The placket though, I am very pleased with how that came out. I think it looks very nice. And yeah, so waistband is now attached and I just need to hem it. And it is mostly even on the hem. Not perfect, it never is perfect because I'm very lazy when it comes to hems, but I think it'll be a suitable length for the boots. So, yes. I will go and do those things, I guess, at this point. Or I could do something more fun and do a mock-up of that Delta pattern. Decisions. Okay, so we are on day 3, I think, of working on this skirt project. I did have it finished, but it wasn't coming out the way it looked like in the picture, and I think that's because of the way I put it together. I did the pleating wrong, for one, and then 2, the front and the back really do need to have lapped seams, and I thought they did, but I couldn't quite figure it out. But then I had an epiphany last night, as you do at like 3 in the morning, and decided I would just take it apart today and redo it. So the lap seams I'm talking about are here in the front and they're also in the back, and I was just pulling up a picture so I could see, you know, what part laps over what parts. So the front panel will lap over the side panels and then the back panels will lap over the side panels as well. So I've already seamed ripped apart the front panel, and I'm going to remove all of the extra threads and repress this and then lap our front panel seam over the side panel and then resew it. And to do this, I actually went and cleared off my entire sewing table so I knew I would have room to really spread this skirt out. This would be easier during the initial construction rather than having to go back and redo it, but it's really not the end of the world. Skirts are fairly easy to put together, so I'm not too concerned with it. But it will give me the result that I'm looking for, so I am going to take the extra step to do it. So next I need to remove all of these extra threads and repress this seam. The fold line won't entirely go away, which I'm not too concerned with. That is where the original seam line would be anyway, so it shouldn't mess with anything too much, I hope. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get started with pulling out these loose threads, pressing it flat again, that way I could lap it over on top. And when I went to the fabric store today, they were having a sale, so I picked up 4 containers of cover button refills. These are 3/4 of an inch, 5 buttons per pack. I need 16, so that gives me 4 to spare, which is great because making covered buttons is a miserable experience that I would in fact wish upon my worst enemy. So to spare you, I will be doing it off camera with probably something playing in the background. And these will of course be for our Edwardian skirt that we are working on, which is almost done. I am undecided on whether or not I'm going to be fixing the back panels to be lapped seams like it shows in the pattern, but I will in fact be putting all 16 buttons on. So we will start with 8 for the front of it and then think about doing the back. So to be determined, I guess, and I will catch up with you when those are done and ready to be sewn onto the skirt. Alright, the covered buttons are done. This is what they look like. Very cute. I have marked with little green dots where exactly I want them to fall on the skirt, so I'm just going to go ahead and sew them into place right on top of the top stitching.
So a differential between those two things is going to create a lot of dark fullness like this. But again, we have this princess seam that's an armhole princess.
Alright, so here's how the buttons came out on the front of the skirt. I'm not going to put it on because I'm lazy. They look pretty good. I have them spaced, I think, about an inch down from the waistband and then 2.5 inches from each other from there. So it came out pretty even-ish. Close enough. I'm good with it. And then I think I will go ahead and carry the buttons onto the back because I did kind of just lay them out and I liked the way I look even though the seams aren't lapped. If I decide that I really want the seams to be lapped, then I can undo it all and lap the seams. That's no problem. It just takes like maybe an hour or so to undo all this, lap the seams, and then put it all back together, which is more time than I really want to spend on it. So I think for now it's fine, and I will cover the rest of these buttons tomorrow. I need to do another 8. There are 8 in there, and yeah, I'll do that tomorrow because I'm tired. Okay, we won't be doing any kind of beautiful cinematic reveal for the end of this video because I'm busy. I can't be bothered. So this is, and also I don't really do cinematic reveals on any of my projects. I just kind of put it on and show you what it looks like. But this is about as done as this skirt is going to get because I need to move on to other things since I'm a little bit busier than usual right now. Just work related things and then personal related things that are keeping me from being in the sewing room as much as I would like to be. So while the front of the skirt is exactly the way I would like it to be, it's very much like it is pictured on the pattern envelope. The back of the skirt still needs some adjustments made. So I do have this inside pleat here at the bottom of the placket. I need to add one more hook and eye, probably here, just to keep that closed. But then the side seams would need to be unpicked and lapped. They need to be lapped seams, and then the buttons added, and then the back would look like the pattern envelope as well. But for now, I am okay with the skirt living in this state. I still think it's a very pretty skirt. Obviously I need to steam it so it'll lay nice and not wrinkly. But yeah, I'm happy with this, and this I think is a very wearable skirt. It's very cute. It will go fantastically with my Manhattans, and I can't wait for the weather to cool down and us to go into fall so that I can really start wearing it because I do really like the way it turned out. So with that done, I think we can skip to our outro. had some issues with the autofocus on this thing. Okay. So if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. If you would like to see more videos from me, please do hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to be alerted anytime I post a video. I don't post as frequently as I would like to, but you know. Anyway, if you guys are interested in having this guide, this method of drafting a 5-panel skirt, I'll have it linked down below. It's the Glicksteins method. Glicksteins? His method from, I think the book was from 1911, which is close enough in years to be able to do this skirt, because this original McCalls pattern was from 1909. It is a 5-panel skirt. You'll have to make some modifications to it, but he'll walk you through how to draft it. And I give you a couple of tips on how to, you know, increase the waist size or things like that. Do not follow my method religiously. Do not take it as gospel. I'm still learning. A lot of what I have learned when it comes to sewing is what I've learned from other people on the YouTube. So watch their videos, watch other people, I guess pick up what you can, and you will succeed. Anyway. But yes, if you're interested in having the guide, the instructions on how to draft this skirt, I will have it linked in the description box below. And with that, I will see you in my next video. Toodles!